Good morning, citizens of America. This is the U.S. Citizen Journal Daily Brief for September 10, 2025 AD. I'm here to bring you the latest news from around the world. Let's dive into today's top stories. Israeli airstrike in Qatar complicates ceasefire talks, catches White House by surprise. Israel attempted to kill senior members of Hamas in an airstrike on Tuesday in Qatar, a sharp escalation that brought the mightiest war to a close, U.S. ally and a primary mediator in trying to end the conflict in Gaza. The Israeli strike on a Hamas meeting, where the group said its officials were discussing a ceasefire proposal backed by President Trump, threatened to undermine negotiations over the Gaza war. The direct attack on Qatar's territory also risked antagonizing the Qatari government and destabilizing its diplomatic efforts in the war, particularly because the country's political and economic stability hinges on its reputation as a haven for business and tourism in a volatile region. The afternoon attack by Israel's Air Force hit an area of the capital, Doha, that is near schools and embassies, sending black smoke billowing into the air. President Trump said on Tuesday that he found out about Israel's airstrike in Qatar from the United States military, rather than Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, whom he often describes as both a friend and his strongest ally in the Middle East. It was a familiar surprise. In June, Israel launched a 12-day war with Iran with minimal notice, initially drawing a rebuke from Washington until Mr. Trump decided to join in on what he saw as a winning campaign. Employer health insurance premiums set for largest spike in 15 years. U.S. businesses are facing the biggest health insurance cost increases in at least 15 years, after already steep boosts in recent years that have pushed the annual expense for family coverage high enough to equal the price of a small car. Costs for employer coverage are expected to surge about 9.5% in 2026, according to an estimate from Aon, while an employer survey by WTW suggested 9.2%. Both benefits consulting firms' projections, which were provided exclusively to the Wall Street Journal, would represent the fastest rate of increase since at least 2011, when the price tags for employer coverage were far lower than the recent average of roughly $25,500 for a family plan. Invasive mussels reach Colorado River, posing devastating threat to water supply for 40 million. Water is a driving force in the American West, and today it's at risk more than ever. Not just from overuse, not just from megadrought, but from minuscule invaders that pose a nearly unstoppable threat to the region's rivers, lakes, dams, and reservoirs. Typically smaller than a nickel, zebra and quagga mussels have spread across Europe and the eastern United States, doing billions of dollars in damage by clogging infrastructure, wreaking havoc on ecosystems and eating food on which native fish and other animals rely. The mollusk's westward sweep recently crossed a feared Rubicon when Colorado discovered zebra mussels in its portion of the Colorado River system, an imperiled lifeline to 40 million people. This news is devastating, a water manager on the state's arid western side said. From irrigation to drinking water, the ramifications cannot be underestimated or overstated. Almost nothing can keep the mussels from proliferating once they gain a foothold. SpaceX bets big on mobile. With $17 billion, EchoStar spectrum purchase. Elon Musk's SpaceX is writing its biggest check ever to expand its foothold in the mobile phone business. SpaceX said Monday would pay $17 billion for the rights to use some of EchoStar's valuable spectrum for cell phone service. The deal with EchoStar includes $8.5 billion in cash and up to $8.5 billion of SpaceX stock for two chunks of valuable U.S. wireless licenses and related domestic and international rights to beam signals from space. The rocket and satellite internet company also agreed to pay about $2 billion of cash toward interest payments on EchoStar debt through November 2027. SpaceX is already a growing home broadband provider through its Starlink business and has dipped into the mobile phone sector through a U.S. partnership with T-Mobile. However, the new spectrum rights would significantly improve Starlink's ability to connect with cell phones in remote areas beyond the reach of cell phone towers. SpaceX said it would use the spectrum as a foundation for Starlink's direct-to-cell business around the globe. It could also share spectrum with telecom partners. NATO jets shoot down Russian drones over Poland for first time in unprecedented violation. NATO fighter jets have shot down Russian drones over Polish airspace for the first time, after what Warsaw described as an unprecedented violation of its territory that led it to trigger emergency consultations in the alliance. The operation in the early hours of Wednesday, during a massive Russian attack on Ukraine, involved Dutch and Polish fighter jets, while German Patriot missiles were put on alert, and an Italian early warning aircraft provided support. The alliance said it was committed to defending every kilometer of NATO territory, including our airspace. It marks the most serious clash between Russia and the U.S.-led military alliance since the start of Moscow's full-blown war against Ukraine in February 2022. In a televised address, Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk said the country and its allies had successfully responded to a large-scale provocation by Russia, adding that no injuries were reported and that Warsaw stood ready to respond to further aggression. He later told Parliament that an estimated 19 drones entered Poland's airspace, of which about 4 were shot down, adding that a significant portion had been flown from Russia's ally Belarus. Historical note: September 10, 2008. CERN Large Hadron Collider is powered up, kicking off what many called history's biggest science experiment. Testing particle physics theories, the $8 billion LHC is the largest particle accelerator in the world, made up of superconducting magnets that allow engineers and physicists to study subatomic particles including protons, electrons, quarks, and photons. The LHC can create 600 million collisions per second. The 17-mile underground ring, located beneath the Swiss-French border, sends particle beams at close to the speed of light, causing them to collide and recreate debris caused by the Big Bang. At the time of its launch, some scientists and environmentalists speculated that the LHC would create a mini black hole that could end the world. These claims were refuted by CERN and physicist Stephen Hawking, who said any mini black holes would evaporate instantly. That's all for today's brief. Join us again tomorrow for more news and updates. This show was produced by Greg Lovin, wishing you a great day ahead. Please follow and rate us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify. It helps other listeners find us. Stay informed and ad astra per astra.